everyone. In this video, we are going to go through Article 3 of UCP 600. Article 3 of UCP 600 is about interpretations. So here we will learn certain norms and rules relating to UCP 600. So that will give you some clarity on certain valid clauses and certain invalid clauses that are included in LCs. So let's get into the video. First of all, this article starts with these words. For the purpose of these rules. So, remember, these interpretations are solely for the purpose of UCP 600's rules and regulations. So, whatever we are going to discuss now applies for anything in relation to UCP 600. So in that, the first interpretation they give is that where applicable, words in a singular include the plural and in the plural include the singular. Now don't get confused. Let me break it down for you. Now what they simply mean is if an article mentions something in its singular form, that singular form is equal or does include its plural form as well. Now, let's say for example, the article talks about date being mentioned in an invoice or amount being mentioned in an invoice. Now, here the article will just say invoice in the singular form. But in the context where there are several invoices, or let's say there are several shipping documents, then the particular wording they used in singular form will also be applicable to its plural form as well. So if they say invoice or shipping document, what they ideally mean is even its plural form, invoices or shipping documents, also needs to comply with the same thing. Next, what they say is plural includes the singular. So the inverse. Let's say, for example, the LC or the article states something in its plural form. Let's say copies of insurance. That's what the wording is on the letter of credit. So that includes or that refers to each individual copy of insurance as well. So whatever they say is applicable for each single copy of insurance as well. That's what they mean by the first interpretation in Article 3. Second, a credit is irrevocable even if there is no indication to that effect. Now, this is important. Why? Here, what they say is you don't have to explicitly mention that a letter of credit is irrevocable. You don't have to mention anywhere on the face of the letter of credit or give any indication that this letter of credit is irrevocable. By default, when you issue a letter of credit in line with UCP 600, that by default is irrevocable, even if you don't mention it. That's what this interpretation says. So what do you mean by irrevocable? For you to make any changes, for you to cancel it, single-handedly you can't do it. Three parties should intervene. So when we go on discussing articles, you will understand who are the three parties. If they agree, yes, it is possible to adjust the LC terms or even revoke the LC. So only on the consent of those three parties we could do it. By default, this is something irrevocable single-handedly. Thirdly, a document may be signed by handwriting, facsimile signature, perforated signature, stamp, symbol, or any other mechanical or electronic method of authentication. So let's say there is a document and in that document they are mentioning it to be included as, they are asking it to be signed. So this word signed includes or refers for that signature either to be handwriting, so where in pen the particular person could have signed, or it could be a facsimile signature, or it could be a perforated signature. What do you mean by perforated signature? Is that on paper, like in braille, the signature is stamped. So you know how for the visually impaired people they could touch and feel the signature. So to accommodate for that, even through a perforated signature, we can consider the document to be signed. In addition to that, even by placing a stamp or a symbol to say, look here, it is signed, that is also a method of authentication. Alright. A requirement for a document to be legalized, vised, certified, or similar will be satisfied by any signature, mark, stamp, or label on the document which appears to satisfy that requirement. So, again, if the document asks for something to be legalized, the words I'll be mentioning over here, legalized, vised, or certified, or any other word which gives a similar meaning. Okay, these requirements can be met by placing a signature to say that okay, yes, this is certified, or placing a mark or a stamp or even a label which appears to give you that effect of requirement. As long as any of the following gives you that effect that this has been legalized, vised, or certified, you could accept that document. Now here, note the difference in the fourth requirement or in the fourth interpretation. When they ask for a document to be certified, legalized, or vised, signatures are allowed, a mark is allowed, stamp is allowed, and a label is allowed. Symbol is not included here. So note that symbols are not included here. And a difference between the third and the fourth one is in the fourth one they even accommodate marks and labels. So note that point as well. Fifth one, they say branches of a bank in different countries are considered to be separate banks. So let's assume HSBC India, HSBC UK. Now these two are branches of one bank but located in different countries. So these two for the purpose of UCP 600. So keep that in mind. For the purposes of UCP 600, these are considered to be separate banks. So HSBC India can be a issuing bank or play the issuing bank's role in UCP 600, while HSBC UK can play the role of a advising bank, or even switch the two roles, any other, but they are treated as separate banks for the purpose of UCP 600. Now for this, the key term is branches of a bank, but it must be located in different countries. Let's assume there is a HSBC in Chennai of India, and let's say there is a HSBC in Mumbai. Can you consider this to be separate banks? No. In one country, multiple banks. So this you can't consider as separate banks. But located in different countries, yes you can. Next, terms such as first class, well-known, qualified, independent, official, competent, or local used to describe the issuer of a document allow any issuer except the beneficiary to issue that document. Now, why are they saying this or having this rule? Because look at the words first class, well known, qualified, independent, official, competent and local. These words, yes, it gives us a sense of a quality, but that sense of quality or sense of standard is subjective. What's first class for me might not be first class for you. Or to make it even easier, what's well known for me might not be well known for you. So using these words creates ambiguity. What do you mean by ambiguity? It creates an uncertainty. A misunderstanding is possible. Remember, these are set of documents that are being transmitted. You cannot have misunderstandings. You cannot have ambiguity. It needs to be crystal clear. So in case the letter of credit describes a issuer of a document in any of these words, the bank is allowed to accept any document that is issued by any party, but as long as it's not the beneficiary itself. This is like a protection given to the handling bank so that they don't face any ambiguity. For us to remember, note down these points. First class, well known, qualified. So what's seemed as qualified in my country might not be the same qualification required to be qualified in a different country. Okay. Independent. Who is independent in my eyes may not be the ones who are independent in your eyes. Official, competent, and local. All these terms, as long as these terms are referring to the issuer of a document. Okay. Just because it doesn't mean that you can't have these words in the LC at all. If in case these are in the LC and they refer to a issuer of a document, then we have a problem. Okay. Unless required to be used in a document, words such as prompt, immediately, or soon as possible will be disregarded. Again, three terms: prompt, immediately, and as soon as possible. Why are they asking you to disregard these terms? Because again, this creates ambiguity, uncertainty, or a misunderstanding. What is immediately for me can be 2 days, but for the person who's informing, immediately mean could the very same day itself as well. So this will create some sort of a misunderstanding. So to avoid misunderstanding, unless it's a must to include these terms, the bank is saying ask your beneficiary to disregard these terms from being used in the letter of credit. The expression on or about or similar will be interpreted as a stipulation that events is to occur during a period of 5 calendar days before until 5 calendar days after the specified date, both start and end dates included. Now, let me break it down for you. What they're saying is, imagine you have a specified date. For example, 15th. The LC says something is to happen on or about 15th, let's say 15th February. Now, 15th is the day that they have specified. But the words on or about, when it comes, now remember, it's not just the word on, not just the word about. The entire expression, which is on or about, this entire expression needs to be there. If this expression is used, the period considered by what they mean by on or about 15 is 5 days before. So which means 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th, 10th. So see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days before the specified date as well as 5 days after. 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So again 5 days after, this entire period is being considered when they say the phrase on or about 15th February. 5 days before and 5 days after, and this entire date range includes the beginning date as well as the end date. For example, let's say it's mentioned that shipping needs to be done on or about 15th February. So 15th February is a Sunday. When you use the terms on or above, it means from the 10th until to the 20th, shipping can be done. So let's say the bill of lading carries a date which says 10th of February, that bill of lading is acceptable. If the bill of lading says 20th of February, still it is accepted. Let's say bill of lading says 9th. Can you accept it? No, it says on or about. So the date range is only restricted from 10th February to the 20th of February. Both dates, both start and end dates included. The words to, until, till, from and between, when used to determine a period of shipment, include the date or dates mentioned. And the words before and after exclude the date mentioned. Now, here the most important keyword is to determine period of shipment. Now, these all words refer in the context of referring or understanding a period of shipment. So, understand shipment period. For you to understand about shipment period, if the first instance is if, to, until, till, from, between. If these are used, the date mentioned is included. For example, let's say they say the shipping needs to be done 2 days from 15th February. Okay, that's what the letter of credit mentions. So which means 2 days from 15th February. 15th February, so which means 2 days from 15th February. So it means as per this particular note in this article 3, it needs to include the date mentioned as well. So the 2 days is counted as 15th of February and 16th of February. So if your document comes dated or bill of lading to be dated as 17th February, it's unacceptable. Why? It's departing or deviating from the 2 day from 15th February rule. But if in case the shipment period is referred in the terms before or after, then the date mentioned is excluded. What do you mean? Again, let's go to the example. The same example, if they say 2 days from 15th of February, you can disregard the date mentioned, disregard 15th of February and count the next 2 days, which means shipment can come dated 16th and 17th. Excluding the date, you can count 2 days, which means even if the bill of lading is dated 15th, they will still accept it. But the maximum they would go up is up to 17 February. Next, the words from and after, when used to determine a maturity date, exclude date mentioned. Now here, what are we talking about? Determining maturity date. Now maturity date is relating to the settlement, the payment related term. It's not a shipping related term. So here, when you're talking about maturity related and the words from or after is used, then you will exclude the date mentioned. So again, if you say the draft is valid or is payable 2 days from 15th of February, you are allowed or the payment needs to be done by 16th or 17th of February. That's the deadline. But here the key term is after. The term after is used in both context for shipping and for maturity over here as well to exclude the date. So irrespective of whether it's a shipping related document or a maturity related document, remember if the words after is used alone, single-handedly the term after is used, then the date mentioned is disregarded. But if the term before is used, keep in mind, in the context of a shipment period, it excludes the date. In terms of maturity, they are silent. But shipment, they are explicitly telling you if that word before is used, again, you could exclude the date mentioned. But the most trickiest of all is the term from. Why? From, if you are referring to a shipping period, you can include. If you are referring to a maturity date, you can exclude. So please note down this. This is the trickiest of all. Just make sure you write this down. So in case you get a question in relation to this, you can even jot it down to recall your memory. If it's relating to shipping period, you will include. If it's relating to maturity date, you will exclude. So from has two meanings depending on what you are referring to, what you are trying to determine. Next, the term first half and second half of the month shall be construed respectively as first to the 15th and 16th to the last day of the month, all dates included. So, if a document says shipments needs to be done by the first half of February, which means from the 1st to the 15th, any day in between shipment can be done. So this entire period, let me note it down here, this entire period is called first half. What do you mean by second half? 16th to the very last day. This period is called the second half. Remember, the first half is defined, first to the 15th. Second half starts from the 16th and goes on till the last day of the month. Why can't we define last day of the month? Some months it's 31st, some months it's 30. If it's February, it can be a leap or non-leap year and the date could be different. So we just mentioned the last day of the period so that it's clear to everybody. But remember, it includes all dates inclusive. So even if it's on the 15th of a certain month, it belongs to the first half. Let's say it comes on the 16th, still even though 1 day delay, it falls into the second half term. So let's say shipping all, sorry. Let's say LC states shipping needs to be done in the first half of February and the bill of lading says shipping is done on 16th. No, that bill of lading is unacceptable. Why? It deviates from the rules. The terms beginning, middle, and end of a month shall be construed respectively as to the 1st to the 10th, the 11th to the 20th, and 20th to the last day of the month, all dates inclusive. So, here again, if they say beginning, it means from the 1st till the 10th. So, this entire period you call this as beginning. The beginning of the month. If they say shipping needs to be done at the beginning of the month, then they refer it to be done between 1st to the 10th, both dates included. What do you mean by middle? From 11th to the 20th. This particular date range from the next 10 days includes the word middle. The end refers to from the 21st till the very last day. So this date range includes the end of a month. Again, as before, the end date is not defined. Why? It could deviate or differ from month to month. The only clear dates is 1st to the 10th, 11th to the 20th, and 21st till the last day of the month. I hope it was clear to you. Thank you so much for listening in. We'll meet again next week with Article 4. I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you for listening and subscribe and support us for more videos.